Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Ollie Davis, and it's quite late here in the UK. It is actually 11:30. I'm going to go to bed soon. But then I saw on my phone that Jon Moxley has pulled out of his AEW Double or Nothing match just a week away, because that is happening next Saturday, on Saturday the 31st of August. Because of an MRSA infection in his elbow. Apparently it's very serious. He announced the news on Twitter himself by tweeting, "I'm absolutely gutted to have to deliver this news, but I'd rather it come directly from me. In a nightmare scenario, a serious case of MRSA has returned in my elbow. The timing couldn't be worse. In this circumstance, I am forced to pull out of the fight on the 31st of August versus Kenny Omega at All Out." The Kenny Omega fight was, of course, first set up at Double or Nothing back in May. That was a huge angle at the end of the show after Omega's fight with Jericho, where Moxley made his AEW debut. And to break kayfabe like that, Moxley's been very protective over his character since leaving WWE. And to sort of speak so honestly there on Twitter shows it's really got to be eating him up inside, unfortunately. Interestingly, this is very close to what the Wrestling Observer newsletter reported earlier in the week, actually just 2 days before. Dave Meltzer wrote, "Jon Moxley has some kind of an elbow injury. It may be an infection that he got in Japan," because of course he's been competing in the G1 Climax tournament, and that's been very well received. But Meltzer goes on to write, "He works shows this weekend for Northeast Wrestling, and with the exception of the 16th of August show in Poughkeepsie, his singles bouts were made tags." So that means he gets back from Japan after the end of the G1, and he's starting to work a lot of independent shows in the US. But it seems this elbow infection was bad enough where they started to protect him a bit more in tag team matches, so he didn't have to do as much. He pretty much insisted on doing his singles match with Pentagon Jr. and was very careful not to bump on the elbow. So that means he's continued to wrestle, continued to work, obviously. And whether that was a wise idea, whether it would have gone better or not, who knows. Jon Moxley continued to tweet, unfortunately, "I apologise to all involved, most importantly the fans. I'm incredibly frustrated and pissed off. I'll have surgery this week to remove the bursa sac in my elbow." I don't know what a bursa sac is. Sounds pretty nasty. "And be done with it for good. Should be a quick recovery, so I will be 100% for AEW on Wednesday nights on TNT. Of course, that will start on October 2nd. So, yeah, that is a pretty quick turnaround to have surgery and be okay again within the span of 5 weeks. But Moxley continued to tweet, "Still, I expect All Out to be an amazing pay-per-view and hope all the fans out there looking for an alternative tune in." Alternative, of course, to WWE. "You'll be blown away by AEW and be excited to be a wrestling fan. I'm looking forward to watching as a fan myself." And then he tweeted just after that, "This effing sucks." So, yeah, it really does seem to be eaten up inside. On the first announcement, you have a lot of people wishing him well. The Young Bucks tweeted, "Get well, John." It's this sort of breaking of kayfabe that really makes you see how real this is. I doubt this is a work. If this is a work, that is sort of a terrible step to take after that chair shot controversy earlier in the year. Sunny Kiss has also tweeted, "So sorry to hear, John. Wishing you a speedy recovery. Heart emoji." But of course, that was one of the main feature matches at AEW Double or Nothing, just a week out. The other main one is probably that you've got the tag match between Pentagon Jr., Phoenix, and the Young Bucks. Is that right? I can't remember the card now. But the other one is Chris Jericho versus Hangman Page to be crowned the inaugural All Elite Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. And that's a big match. That's a Jericho match. It's for the first ever title holder. But really, as much as we all have Hangman Page, he hasn't really been built up to that main event level draw like Chris Jericho has. The big blood money draw on this show, for me, and I think for a lot of people, was the guy who's one of the hottest wrestling stars in the world at the moment since leaving WWE, Jon Moxley, and the guy who's regarded as one of the best wrestlers in the world, Kenny Omega. That's what people wanted to see. Now, AEW have to come up with a replacement, and they have done so very, very quickly. Cody Rhodes has tweeted, "Very heartbreaking news. Jon's health and safety is paramount to all of us. We will actively try and reschedule this match down the road." So, maybe on the next, the first pay-per-view of the TV era, a replacement match for All Out will be announced soon. Our thoughts are with Jon. Now, it seems like they knew about this probably quite far in advance. They were made aware of the situation, and it's come to crunch time because that announcement came about half an hour later, with All Elite Wrestling themselves tweeting, Saturday 31st of August at the Sears Centre, it'll be Kenny Omega versus PAC. Of course, PAC was meant to, almost ironically enough, was meant to wrestle at the Double or Nothing show against Hangman Page, and it was going to be Hangman Page versus PAC to decide the number one contender to go against Chris Jericho. Really, that was what that was positioning, and according to reports, it was meant to be PAC who was going to win that match, but for a weird case of things, like turn of events unfolded where like some people, Dave Meltzer was reporting that PAC was creatively not frustrated, but had creative differences with AEW. At the time, he was the top champion in Dragon Gate Wrestling, which has the rather silly titled top championship of the Open the Dream Gate title. I think that's a bit silly. And while PAC was, of course, PAC's the former Neville in WWE, while PAC was the Dragon Gate Championship, a promotion he loves dearly and where he first made his name, he didn't want to lose that much to anyone. And he although the reports are he would win the match against Page, he would then have to lose a match against Kenny or Chris Jericho or Kenny Omega or whoever to become the champion. So that match weirdly happened a week before Double or Nothing at the WrestleGate show in the UK. It was a complete surprise. Luke was there. You can go and watch that video. And for PAC to be out of AEW's roster really for that long, and then suddenly, oh, here he is. He's now going to be on this show that he was actually originally meant to be on 4 or 5 months ago. I say it's a strange turn of events, like there's a conspiracy going on. I don't think there is, but it's a very coincidental turn of events. So PW Insider has also reported that we are told that PAC's issues were resolved several weeks back with AEW, those sort of creative differences, I guess, with AEW, and he was always slated to appear, and in brackets, but not wrestle next weekend. So he was always going to appear at All Out, interestingly. So they had this backup ready to go, and this will now be his in-ring AEW debut. Yeah, of course, he appeared at that first press conference announcement at the start of the year. I think it was January 7th. AEW just really trying to make the best out of this situation, I suppose. The updated lineup now is Jericho versus Page for the AEW title. The Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks in a ladder match is going to be amazing. Kenny Omega will now take on PAC instead of Jon Moxley. The Dark Order will take on the Best Friends, which means they get into that tag team tournament that will start on TNT TV. Cody has his grudge match against Sean Spears, who's going to have Tully Blanchard in his corner. There's going to be a women's casino battle royal this time, featuring Jazz, Ivelisse, Ariel Monroe, Sadie Gibbs, Teal Piper, and more to be announced. Rio will take on Hikaru Shida, nailed that pronunciation, so some of the Japanese women's wrestlers. Darby Allin versus Jimmy Havoc versus Joey Janela in a sort of death dream match. How do you, all three of those guys in one ring is quite scary. And we'll also have Private Party versus Jack Evans and Angelico in the pre-show. So yeah, absolutely shocking news, and really quite unfortunate, very unfortunate for Jon Moxley and the promotion themselves. It's just one of those things. It's that people's health comes first, obviously, and it's good that wrestling's got to a point now where people can put their health first, as opposed to just keep on wrestling and taking on those main events on the big shows, because as we've seen with many people, unfortunately, that has consequences down the line, health-wise. Well, what a fun Friday night. I'm going to go off to bed now, and we'll be live streaming AEW next Saturday, so I'll be up even later. But yes, click the videos that have just appeared on the screen now to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk things, including Luke's fun punishment video in the WrestleTalk news episode today, and give us a subscribe, enable notifications, press the thumbs up button. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.